This is Albarran. Thank you for coming back to my channel. And in this video, I want to cover the two key books that have had the most impact on my business, my wealth, my family, my relationships. As a lot of my clients tell me, Alex, I've read a book a week for 30 years and I still haven't built my business. Or I love reading, I love watching YouTube videos, but it rarely leads to actual action and actual growth in my business or in my career. And so that's why in this video, I want to cover these two books. First book is called How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People. And the second book is Win Bigly. And before I talk about these books, I want to talk about consuming education, consuming knowledge through videos like this, through books, through anything online. And the issue at times is that people think by consuming, that will magically lead to them building a seven-figure business, getting a six-pack. But you have to consume the information, process it, and then take action. And that's why I'm very strategic about this video, because I've read 100 books, but these two books are the only ones I needed to read to build my business. The other books were entertaining. I enjoyed reading them, but they actually took a lot of my time and didn't really provide a lot of real value to, again, my clients, my business, or anything along those lines. And so I want you to think about when you're watching videos like mine, when you're watching other content, or even thinking about reading books or social media, you have to understand, where am I going? What's my specific goal? Is it more revenue, more YouTube subscribers? Again, getting in shape physically. It doesn't have to be about making money, but you have to get very clear on where am I trying to go and how can I consume the least amount of information possible and apply it in the biggest way possible. Most people do the opposite. They consume, and they do the least action possible. And that's why they don't achieve their end outcome. And so to talk about the books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, this is by far the biggest and I would say most impactful book I've ever read in my entire life, because it focuses on this: communication. I talk a lot about Toastmasters. That's a public speaking course that is actually based around the idea of how to win friends and influence people. It's a very cheesy title, I understand, but the content of the book is focused on how do you influence people through communication. How do you not just influence and deal with people? How do you understand where people are coming from? A lot of people who have knowledge, they have concepts, they have a great idea, let's say for a business, they never see success because they don't know how to communicate that idea. That's why most business owners actually fail, because they don't know how to communicate their offer, their solution to their ideal customers who have challenges that they can solve. Right. And I think that's something you want to think about in terms of, well, what does communication actually mean? I'm communicating right now. If you see an ad, they're communicating a company. Here's our product. Here's our service. We feel like you have these challenges. If you do, click the link and get this PDF or watch this video or book a free call. So communication is the most important aspect of your business, but most people have zero training on it. They have zero idea how to structure a conversation, a video like this, a public speech. And so How to Win Friends and Influence People is a very detailed book, but I'm going to go over the broad strokes of what I learned from it, right? Because my goal with my videos is to teach you what I've learned, what mistakes I've made, so you can learn from me and get the results I have now, but probably 10 times faster than I've achieved the results in my own business. And so the biggest thing you want to think about with communication is people want to be heard. I want you to write that down. People want to be heard in a conversation. So if I'm talking to you and we're at a coffee shop, I'm going to be talking about 10 to 20% of the time. I want you talking 80 to 90% of the conversation. I want to ask you, hey, so how'd you build your business? Or how did you get in this career? Or what do you think about politics right now? Or what do you think about this? Because I want to hear your perspective, your ideas, your challenges. And then from there, you can find a lot of people are willing to share wisdom. They're willing to share insight. If you just ask for it and you listen. The issue is a lot of people, they think for me to influence people, for me to be seen as an expert, or for me to, let's say, have confidence, I need to dominate a conversation. I need to talk. I need to talk 80% of the time, 90% of the time. And that's why people that do that, they don't get invited back to the party. They seem like they have a big ego because they're trying to seek attention when the best communicators, the best people in the world in any field, they're the best listeners because they can talk to you, they can make you feel special, they can make you feel heard. And again, if they hear what you're saying, they can understand your challenges and what you're trying to do. And maybe they have a service that can help with that, or maybe they know someone that they can connect you with. The issue is a lot of people, they just talk, and they make it seem like, yeah, I dominated that conversation. They must think I'm cool, or they must think I know what I'm talking about. But they think the opposite. They're like, this guy didn't even ask me what I'm dealing with or what my challenges are. It's like if you go to the doctor, they walk in and you're like, oh, doc, my shoulder or my knee, or I feel tired. And they say, stop talking. I know what you're dealing with. I don't have to ask you questions. I don't have to understand what you're dealing with. Take these pills and get out of my office. Right? Which sounds very dramatic, but if you really think of that, you may have done that in your relationship, in your business, and it doesn't work. You need to hear people. You need to ask questions. And again, the biggest thing is if you make people feel special, they'll do special things for you. The second book is called Win Bigly. Win, Bigly. It's an amazing book. I recommend it to any entrepreneur because my first book recommendation talks about communication, which is more of a basic skill set. But this book, Win Bigly, talks about powers of persuasion and building credibility. Right? As an example, the word credibility is very vague, but we all use it in our decision making every single day. Because if I, let's say, came to you and I had one person giving you advice on investments and another person giving you investment advice, they both are giving the same exact advice, but one person got their master's in finance from Harvard and one got a high school degree and works at McDonald's. Which person are you going to take advice from? Again, the actual advice could be the same exact thing, but that's actual credibility. We're looking at perceived credibility. Right? What makes you think, wow, this person knows what they're talking about, so I'm going to do what they recommend? That's all this book talks about. It talks about if you're a business owner, if you're even not a business owner, if you have a job, how do you establish credibility without the traditional credentials of going to Harvard or having a degree or having these certifications? That's what people think of when they think of credibility. But I have credibility, even though I went to Florida Atlantic University. That's not a very prestigious school, but I've been on different YouTube channels. I've been on Megyn Kelly, right? I have credibility in my business because people that work with me, they don't really care where I went to school. They don't care where I went to school or what degree I got. They care, hey, have you delivered results for a lot of other clients like me? And do I have confidence that you're going to do the same? And that all ties to my credibility. So that's a very key word. If you're a business owner, coach, consultant, even if you have an e-commerce store, you need to have credibility in your business to have your customers, to have your partners believe in you as a person, as the business owner. This book covers how to build that entire credibility system around you. And it uses Donald Trump as a case study, but it's not a politically biased book. It just uses his 2016 run for president as a very clear-cut A to Z example of how did he go from, people were calling him a laughingstock in 2015 when he first announced, so then now in 2024, he's really the Republican Party. Again, whether you love him or hate him, that's just a fact. And it shows how he used different powers of persuasion throughout the process to get people to believe in him, believe in his message, right? People believe in him and what he's doing because of him using these different powers of persuasion, building credibility, and having people believe, yeah, if Trump said this or if Trump is going to do this, then I'm going to vote for him. I believe in him. Right. And so he's probably one of the best ever at doing that. And this book uses him as a case study, and it goes step by step on what he did, what he said, and it gives you examples of how you can use that in your life and in your business. Right. So again, credibility is one of the most important things in your business that you may have never even heard of, because if you're a marketer, if you're a coach, if you're any type of consultant or somebody that people look at as an expert, they need to believe that you know what you're talking about before they pay you to then get your advice on things that you can talk about, right? It's, again, perceived credibility that attracts traffic, that attracts interest, that attracts customers. And then your actual credibility is, do you have experience? Can you actually help people? They're two different things. So people sometimes think, well, I've been doing this for 30 years, right? Why am I not getting any clients? Why am I not just overflooded with leads or overloaded with people reaching out to me? And it's because they have no perceived credibility. And this book dives into that entire concept completely for you. So again, I'd really recommend starting with How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a great book just to get the basic understanding of, okay, communication, listening, active listening, and really understanding how do I present myself in the best way possible, and how do I, again, build relationships based on proper communication, because that's your most valuable thing, relationships, people, and you connect with people through communication. And then how do I apply that at a higher level, an advanced level in my business or in my career, using persuasion, influencing people. Again, both books are related. It's just How to Win Friends and Influence People that lays the foundation, whereas Win Bigly talks about how can I really take this to the next level and, influence, instead of 5 or 10 people, I can influence hundreds of thousands or millions on YouTube or, whatever medium you're using. So I'd recommend reading those 2 books, listening to the audiobooks, and that's all you'll need to build a successful business, right? You can watch my videos, read those books. You'll never have to pay me a dime. That's why I like making these videos, because I have clients that pay me a lot of money for consulting, and they're like, oh, you just released too much free value. I would never put out that much free value on YouTube. And I'm like, well, that's why people work with me, because they want the implementation. I can give you free advice. I can help you as much as possible for free, because I love doing it, number one, and I love seeing people learn from others' mistakes, right? Because that's something that I was too hard-headed when I started this business. I just tried to learn through trial and error and figuring things out, which has a certain quality to it. That's a good thing, right? But you don't want to do that for everything. If I had someone like me making free videos like this 7 years ago, I'd be 10 times bigger than what I'm doing now. And so again, hopefully I can provide any value to you. If you have any questions, comment below, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.